Baik, kami persilakan langsung Thum live dari Singapore. Round of applause untuk Thum.
All right. So, hi. Yeah. Mia, could you please mute? Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining these sections. We are doing it using WebEx. Right. My name is Lincoln from Netpoleon. Netpoleon Group is a cybersecurity company that distributes many cybersecurity products. We have more than 10 offices across Asia, including Jakarta, Indonesia. Right. In the past few years, I used to talk to many security folks and also the DevOps engineer. So I noticed there's a gap between them, which make implementing the security is very difficult. Right. Today, I'm going to talk about the key success in the DevSecOps. They're going to bridge the gap between them. Okay. So without further ado, let's start with them. So this is what we usually, right? But in reality, we will always have many security gates in front of our development process, right? So we need to scan this, and we need to scan that, scan this again, and scan that again. So end up, when the security team meet the DevOps team, the situation will become like a picture in the right side, right? So there are many reasons why we have problem with putting both security team and DevOps team together. And the main reason is because putting in the security control will affect the development productivity. It will affect the timeline. But today's world, none of us can run away from security. So some smart people start to introduce the idea of DevSecOps, which now, as a DevSecOps engineer, security is part of your KPI now, right? So, but it was still not solving the problem because the security is still blocking the way, right? So let's take one step back. The main objective of introducing the DevSecOps is increase the security productivity without affecting the development. So we don't want to put so many security gates in front of the development process that serve no purpose, right? Let's look at what are the key success for practicing the DevSecOps. So first, shift left. Okay, as you can see in these pictures, it's just standard SDLC. You got a development phase, testing phase, staging, and productions. Right. I believe some of you have experienced the situation before where the security team come into the room and say, "Hey, I have found some vulnerability in your applications. Can you fix this before you go live?" Right. So you don't want to face a problem in the pictures, right? So this is one of the reasons that DevOps team do not like to work with security guy, because the security practice is always come after what have been done, right? In this stage, every line of code that we make changes might break our applications, right? So you might ask, why don't you tell me earlier? You tell me when I'm still coding, so I will code it this way. You tell me if this package cannot be used, so I will not use this package when I'm coding, right? And now, when all the dependency is being built, it's very difficult for me to fix the issue without breaking the apps, right? So when we try to introduce the idea of shift security left, is we want to fix the issues as early as possible. So the early you can fix the vulnerability, the easy and the faster, right? Because you have not built all the dependency. You can have faster time to look for a better package, better library, or better code, right, to fix the issues. Okay. In this case, you probably will not do the fixes, and you will move the fixes into next release, right? Okay. So the second key of the success DevSecOps is the automate security, right? So imagine without the security automations, developer will have to make requests to the security team and do the scanning. Once you have done your application, you have to request the teams and hey, can you please scan my apps to make sure there's no vulnerability when I roll out so you can comply to the compliance, right? But the SLA is no promise because we are all busy. So the scan result can be returned in days or even weeks. And the remediation will even take months to fix all the issues, right? To avoid this problem, embedding the security testing into the environment is gonna save everybody days, right? So if you look at these pictures, so we have a security part. So that means when we trigger the security automated scan, we can automatically create ticket if let's say we found any vulnerability, right? Once before we actually go live, we want to make sure there's vulnerable application is being automatically stopped. And also once it's go live, we want to make sure the attack is automatically being detected and blocked. So we automate, we integrate the security into the automation streamline. So it will make a lot of work to be done easier to the automations. Okay. So the third key success is a flexibility of integration. So whatever DevOps or security tools that you implement, so the ability to integrate is actually the key success. Okay, so the security solution adopt must be flexible enough to support different platforms and different integrations. Okay, so in here you can see throughout the SDLC, the CI/CD pipeline, so you have different tools used on the different stage. So in the security stage, so we always want to be able to integrate with the CI/CD tools and others too as well. Right? So throughout the integrations, most of the time we need to have a plugin or REST API integrations or execute security features or function or the other tools using the CLI or command shell, right? Also the technology partner itself. Right? So again, the key success of the automation is always on the flexibility of the integrations. Okay. So the fourth key success is self-managed secrets. Okay. So I'm not sure in the IT environments, we always need the secret and password for application to communicate with each other. Right? So I believe most of you have experienced that the security come into us for every few months and ask us to change the secrets or password for the service account that used by us, right, in the application or in the script. So sometimes it's not very easy to balance security and convenience. And if the security does not come to us to ask us to change the password, the auditor will go after them, right? So they got no choice but come to us, but then it will affect, so we have to make changes every few months, right? So this is not feasible. By using the right secret management solutions, you have to centralize, manage, and rotate all the service account or secrets without breaking the applications. How? So in this diagram, this picture, you can see I'm no longer to use hard-coded credentials. Instead, I will use our API call to call for the secret manager, retrieve the secrets from the secret box. Right? So after that, I will inject into my variables and I'll connect to the system with the latest username and password. Okay. Point number 5. So runtime productions. So is it the end of the security after we go live? Our application working as a DevSecOps engineer for now. Like I said earlier, security is now part of your KPI. So you will going to maintain the security even after the application go live, right? So we should provide active, responsive, and runtime production for running applications as well as your environments. Okay. So Why is this important for runtime protections? In the real world, there's no 100% guarantee that your application is secure. Even you have done your due diligence, you scan your application in the early stage. But runtime protection is like a plan B to detect and prevent the attack on what we have risked, right? So like I said earlier, protect the secret even when it is runtime. How? Remove the hard-coded credential in the apps or even the containers that you're using, right? So make use of the secret management solutions, okay? And we protect the running environment by enforcing the emission control. I believe most of you guys know about container technology. So enforcing emission control because we do not want a vulnerable or unscanned application to be run in our production environment, right? If you are using container, we also want to enforce the container immutability to make sure your container cannot mutate, right? So container is supposed to run as what they build. Once there's any mutation happen inside your container, it might be a suspicious attack or potential attack, right? So this is the things that we're trying to prevent from the container into the mutations. Of course, monitoring the container process and the traffic also important to determine whether if there's any attack going on, right? If you look at here, the traditional firewall here is designed to be a gateway for externals, not to stop traffic. So if you look at the traffic between the containers, this might not be visible to the traditional firewall, and which is why we have to implement something to secure the container traffic within the environments. Okay. So the next, continuous security. Like I say, this is not the end after the implementation. We have to protect the application at runtime. We have to continue to monitor the security, right? So we did all the scanning and control when we developed. Once it's in production, it's very easy for us to lose track of which application is vulnerable to the real vulnerability, right? How can we ensure there's no new vulnerability in your production application? Yesterday, your application is safe does not mean today it will be safe also. New vulnerability will always be discovered over the time. Continuous monitoring protect your application from zero-day vulnerability, right? The team will get alerts whenever new vulnerability is discovered, and this can be automatic sent by notifications, right? So of course, it's all about automations. You don't want your security guys to monitor the dashboard for every single seconds to try to see whether there's new vulnerability coming out, right? So continuous monitoring, the idea of continuous monitoring is make use of the automations to automate the monitoring. So whenever there's new vulnerability come out, so we will get notified immediately create a ticket, and the developer will go and patch it. So when putting all together, so you can see on this diagram, so this is how should a success DevSecOps package should be like, at least should be like, right? So in the left-hand side bottom, you can see there's a developer. So before even we start developing our applications, we want to make sure that the open source components or open source library used are vulnerability free. It means the very first day we develop our apps, we use the non-vulnerable open source library or components, right? And while we're doing the development, so we make sure that shifting left idea is implemented, and we identify the open source image vulnerability before we even check in the code into the Git or into the repository, the source control, right? So once we comfortable with the code, so we commit it into the source control and we trigger the CI/CD automation pipeline, right? So during this pipeline, your CI/CD will do all the integrations, including security scanning, and the whole process is automated, right? So remember the shift left idea that I shared earlier. So in this stage, we are not trying to discover what had been identified and limited in the development phase. So in here, what we try to discover is the new vulnerability over the time, right? So because when you commit the code might be staying in the source control for a few months or weeks before you actually run the pipeline build and deploy your applications. So within this time, there might be a new vulnerability appear, right? So the idea of this continuous scanning in the CI/CD pipeline is to try to discover the new vulnerability if the vulnerability already been solved in the earlier stage. So we can actually, in a vulnerability to be solved in earlier stage, so you will find not much vulnerability in this CI/CD phase, right? So after that, of course, we will go through the approval before the change request before we want to deploy our application into the environments, right? Throughout the process, all the CI/CD tool change scripts, application, whatever, we're going to be integrated with the secret management solutions so that you will know hard-coded credential. So even though your environment is compromised, your application is compromised, they can't find any credentials within your application or environments, right? So once you deploy, continues to monitor and provide the runtime protection as well as the secret management throughout the time, no matter wherever you deploy in the cloud, AWS, Azure, on-prem, Google Cloud, EKS, wherever you want, right? So when we put all these key success together, so basically we are trying to put in the security productivity without affecting the developer productivity. Okay. So lastly, I would like to thank you all for attending these sections. So I apologize to be not able to answer your questions. So because we are still doing the WebEx. So I will put my email down there. So if let's say you have any questions, you can actually email me. Yeah. Thank you so much.